We know high-skilled immigration creates jobs for Americans through complementation of low-skilled workers, entrepreneurship, innovation, and much more. We also know that some immigrants assimilate faster to their communities than others, and that some communities are able to assimilate immigrants faster than others. Taking these facts and what we have learned in the previous immigration videos, all together, there could be many conservative immigration reforms that we can implement. Politically speaking, these reforms will be difficult, but they would surely benefit every American by bolstering innovation, entrepreneurship, and ultimately job creation and wages, all while accelerating immigrant assimilation into American culture. A truly conservative immigration system is one that welcomes those with the most potential to contribute to the American economy, that rewards effort and skills, and that promotes assimilation and protects the institutions that have made America great. Okay, how do we start? Number one, we should fully digitalize the immigration system. This is the most common sense reform that could be made. We live in the 21st century. There's no reason a university should have to routinely print over 1,000 pages in paper to mail one work visa application for documents that aren't even originals, they're copies and don't need any kind of in-person verification. Switching to an online system may sound meaningless, but it would make deadlines easier to meet for immigrants and eliminate the cost of mailing and printing, all while saving us many trees in the process. Number two, we should allow visa extensions and changes from inside the United States. Most immigrants on temporary visas cannot change to a different visa inside the United States. They must leave, go to the embassy or consulate outside the US, and come back. Traveling costs thousands of dollars, and it's entirely unnecessary. These immigrants have already been vetted, and the Department of Homeland Security has offices all over the United States where they already interview immigrants for naturalization or asylum. There's no reason they can't conduct these interviews and stamp passports inside the US borders. This would reduce pressures at US consulates abroad and minimize unnecessary travel. The importance of this option became clearer during the COVID-19 pandemic when visas expired and immigrants couldn't travel or just couldn't come back if they did. Number three, we should implement a skills-based immigration system. Congress should reform the employment-based green card system so that more of the highest skilled people of the world can contribute to the American economy. To do this, Congress should replace the three skills-based green card categories, EB1, EB2, and EB3, which issue just less than $140,000 per year. And they should create a points-based system, taking Canada and Australia as examples. The points-based system would score immigrants based on their salary offers from their prospective employers, past job experience, age, English proficiency, education, and other characteristics. The number of high-skilled immigrants who come shouldn't be limited by an arbitrary low cap imposed by Congress, but rather it should depend on how many immigrants qualify. If there has to be a cap, it should be at least triple the current number. As part of this reform, Congress should also lift the cap on the so-called EB5 green card for investors, which is currently limited to $9,000 per year, and create an entrepreneur's visa like countries such as Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. The most successful businesses of America have started in garages and gained support from venture capitalists. They take time to pay off, but the immigration system doesn't recognize this. A skills-based immigration system will reflect it and seek to attract high-potential entrepreneurs. Number four, we should expand and simplify high-skilled work visas. H-1B visas are proven to help businesses create more jobs for Americans, but are severely limited, and so most of the visas go to the companies that can pay for the most applications in Silicon Valley. Not just that, but immigrants on this visa can't switch jobs without going through a whole other application process that takes over a year in many cases, tying them to their current jobs in ways that no other worker is. To fix this, we should lift the cap on H-1B visas so that more of them can be issued and all businesses can access them. This would lead to more jobs and more innovation. Additionally, immigrants on H-1B visas should be able to switch jobs freely during the time the visa was granted. Number five, we should welcome more international students. We know from economic research that I mentioned in the first video that foreign graduates of US universities tend to be more entrepreneurial than other groups, but they can't take action because immigration law forbids them in most cases from working off campus. We should allow international students to be part-time entrepreneurs if they so wish. Additionally, the optional practical training program, which allows international students to work after graduation for 1 year and 3 years if they have a STEM degree, should be extended to 3 years for all and allow every international student to run their own business and hire Americans for the whole time, not just the first year as it stands now. This expansion of opportunities after graduation should attract many more international students, which spend their resources here, resulting in more jobs for Americans as well. There's also plenty of evidence that the more international students a university attracts, the more scholarships for Americans it funds because of the high tuition the students pay. Number 6, state-based visas. Many experts and politicians have proposed that states should have a more active role in shaping immigration policy. After all, states are America's laboratories for democracy, and they tend to be more effective than the federal government. The state-based visa would work simply by having the federal government set an annual cap of, say, 50 or 100,000 immigrants. That is then allocated to the states, which can choose to develop their own selection processes or not participate if they wish to. So states don't duplicate the federal family and skills-based green cards. States should allow nonprofit organizations to apply to sponsor immigrants themselves. In this way, nonprofit institutions would apply to sponsor an immigrant within their state and assume responsibility for them. And the visa would be deducted from the state's allocation after the immigrant passes security checks with the federal government. This approach has 3 important benefits. 1, it would allow churches to take an active role in shaping the immigration landscape. And who better to get immigrants to assimilate into communities than religious organizations? A Christian church in South Dakota would be able to bring Christians more quickly from other parts of the world to protect them better from persecution and to assimilate them into their community faster than the current slow and inefficient refugee system. 2, it would also allow the federal government to distribute immigrants to parts of the country where there are few immigrants now, accelerating their assimilation and helping communities with declining populations to stay alive. And 3, an immigration would happen only if the community buys in. States or communities that don't want immigrants through this program don't have to participate or use their allotment, which can be saved for the future, relinquished, or just given to other states to use. Number 7, the victims of communism visa. Research, even from immigration skeptics like George Borjas, shows that immigrants from authoritarian countries assimilate faster to American society. This is true both economically and socially. Cubans already enjoy the immigration privilege of being granted permanent residence after 1 year of living in America and not having to go through the process that everybody else does. You'd wonder, why can't these people just apply for refugee status or asylum if they come from a communist country? The reason is that asylum is a high bar to clear because it requires fear of personal persecution, and living under socialism doesn't mean everybody is personally targeted. It does mean, however, that everybody suffers from the terrible consequences of not having power, or not having water, or not being able to say what they think. This visa recognizes that freedom's strongest advocates are those who come from places where that freedom was taken away. Congress could then set an annual cap on the number of these immigrants that can come and direct the State Department to determine which countries are effectively under communist or socialist regimes. Countries like Venezuela, like Cuba, like Laos in Asia, or like Eritrea in Africa. Then people from those countries could apply and be selected either on a first-come, first-served basis or prioritizing them based on skills as well. Imagine for a moment, Congress passes a series of immigration bills. Some, of course, deal with the border, the illegal immigrant population, but others don't stop there. The legal immigration system is revamped so that the best engineers, doctors, innovators, and scientists of the world can come to America legally and easily. Innovation shoots through the roof, and Americans of all kinds get new jobs in new and existing companies. Medicine is more easily accessible in rural America as doctors come in, and new infrastructure projects are possible now. Imagine entrepreneurs and venture capitalists from all over the planet are allowed to come to America without waiting for years, raising capital more easily for their investments. Thousands of new businesses pop up, jobs are plentiful, unemployment is rare. Imagine the best international students who graduate from the best schools can stay in America after graduation and are allowed to run their own businesses here. And so thousands more come, and college towns across America expands as these students buy American products, go to restaurants, and use services provided by American workers. Imagine your church community is able to sponsor a Christian family living in South America that goes to your sister church, and together with the community, you all work together to bring them here. The community comes together and the immigrant family successfully integrates. And imagine freedom-loving immigrants from nations controlled by socialist regimes can come to American shores and share the good news of freedom and the bad news of government takeover. This is what a conservative immigration system looks like. America prospers, immigrants assimilate, the future looks bright.